everyone, I'm Christy Macula with Thriving on a Budget, and this is my first video for my new blog that I am starting. So I just wanted to start by introducing myself and then telling you a little bit about my story on my debt-free journey. So I'm 31 years old. I'm a Christian, I'm a wife, I'm a dog mom, I'm a teacher, I'm a basketball coach. I've got a lot on my plate. And this past year, my husband and I just got married a year ago to the day. Today's our 1-year wedding anniversary. And I'm originally from California and I moved to Michigan. So that's a post in itself of my new experiences in the upper peninsula of Michigan, where it is very cold. So that's another story. But I just want to jump on and tell you a little bit about what the blog is going to be about and share how I got out of debt. So the blog is basically going to be about budgeting, creating a budget each month, and even more specifically a grocery budget, and how to create that grocery list with a meal plan and how to cook the meals. So that's going to be the main stuff on the page. Throughout this past year, I've had to cut down on our grocery budget to help set my strict budget for each month to be able to get out of debt. And a big area that I did that was the groceries, and I was able to create grocery lists based on meal plans. And I had to be way more specific in my planning because we weren't eating out, we weren't doing fast food. So that means I had to plan every meal, and I had to plan the grocery list that went with it so that I was only getting the things that I needed and not extra stuff and just throwing things randomly in the cart and, bringing a whole lot of food home but not a whole lot of food to make meals. So within the last year, I've meal planned for every single night within the last year. And the meals are inexpensive, they're quick. As I said, I do a lot of things, so I don't have a ton of time. So during the work year, I don't have a lot of time. During the summer, that's a different story because I'm a teacher, so I have the summers off. But during the regular work week, I need something quick. So they're inexpensive, they're quick, and they're delicious. Some of them are healthier, some of them are just comfort foods. There's a variety, but all of that will be on my blog, and I'll be able to share with you guys on another video and another post how to actually do the grocery budget, meal plan, and cook the meal. So that'll be another post. But this video is about how we got out of debt, $35,000 in 10 months. I know that sounds crazy because it is crazy. It's still hard to believe, but thank God that debt is gone. So I'm basically just going to share a little bit on how we did that. And I shared my debt-free screen post on Facebook and Instagram, and Dave Ramsey's page actually shared it, and that was super exciting. But I only gave a little caption of a quick summary of how that happened, and I had a lot of people asking me how I did it and congratulating me, and some people with negative comments saying that's impossible, it's not real. So I wanted to share with you guys, it is possible, it is real, and it wasn't easy, but I want to share how I did it, so hopefully I can inspire you to get out of debt as well. Everybody's story is different, and everybody's going to get out of debt a little differently, but how I started was with the Dave Ramsey baby steps. So to start this debt-free journey, started a couple years ago. My parents did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University at the church. They loved the course, they started doing it, and they knew I had debt, student loan debt and credit card debt. So I went to a private university for 5 years, 4 for my undergrad and 1 for my credential. So it wasn't cheap, so I did have a lot of student loans. And I was getting some credit card debt as after I started my job and I got my own place. I started to get some credit card debt. So I had those two things, and they thought it would be a good idea. They're like, you should watch these Dave Ramsey DVDs that we did. So I basically did the course in the living room at their house when I went home one summer to visit them. And I was like, okay, I can do this. They showed me how to do the budget. I did the $0 budget, and I was like, all right, I can do this. Well, I did the budget for like 2 months, and I was sticking to the budget for 2 months, and I was like, oh, this is working, this is cool. And occasionally I'd put something else on my credit card, nothing big, but if I needed new tires for my car, I would put it on the put it on the credit card. So I wasn't like accumulating a lot of new debt, but it was a little bit here and there, and I was trying to stick to the budget. And after 2 months, I'd be like, I don't need to write the budget down anymore. I know my expenses, it's fine. And then that cycle went on, and I no longer wrote the budget, and I would just spend, and I would be like, oh, well, you know, I have money in there. Let me go buy something at the store here. I'm going to get something on Amazon here. I'm going to go to Taco Bell here, whatever the case was. And I'm like, I know I have money. And then the end of the month would come, and I'm like, oh, I better check my account before I, you know, swipe my debit card again. And I'm like, what? I have $4 left. I thought just last week I had $400. Like, where is this money going? So, so that's kind of how I was living in a paycheck to paycheck, and it wasn't that I was adding a ton of new debt, but I still had a large chunk of debt already to start with my first job, because I had my student loans and I had some credit card debt that was starting as I was starting, you know, adulthood. So that was happening, and then so my parents taught me that about 4 years ago, and then 2 years ago I really stopped using the credit card. I wasn't using it hardly at all, but I was still doing the budget. But I was on my budget, I was only doing like the minimum payments, and I wasn't necessarily writing down my budget every month, but I knew, okay, I need to pay this bill, this bill, this bill, and I'm making the minimum payments on my 2 credit cards and my 5 student loans. I'm going to make the minimum payment, and I was just trucking along making the minimum payments. I'm making the payments, and I just thought that's just, you know, that's how it's going to be. And with those minimum payments, it would have taken me 15 years to get out of debt. So this is 2 years ago when I'm, you know, just making minimum payments. And then last year, so August of 2019, I sat down with my parents. So Dan and I had just gotten married in July of 2019. We cash flowed our wedding and our honeymoon, and we were doing a little mini moon in San Diego before our California reception. And so we were doing that, and then we did the reception, and he came back because he had to go to work, and I stayed for 2 more weeks in California. So during those 2 weeks, that's kind of when the shift happened of this financial shift in my mindset, because I sat down with my parents in the living room, and my mom was just asking me, so where's your debt at now? You know, I've been paying on it for 7 years at this point. Last summer was 7 years, and she goes, well, where are you at? And I'm like, oh, you know, I added it up. I'm like, oh, $35,000 in debt still. And like, that just, it just makes me sick to think that. And I know some people have less and some people have more, but that was mine, and I was like, it's cringeworthy to me. But I had $35,000, and I was, you know, telling her how much I make on my payments each month. So she added it up. So she added up a year's worth of payments for me. So from August 2018 to August 2019, we were at last summer when we were making these calculations, she did the math for me, and she goes, you've paid over $4,000 in debt this year, like debt payments. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds right, you know. And that's about how much I was making for the last 7 years, $4,000 each year. And she goes, well, let me show you how much you were paying in interest and how much actually went to the principal. So she did the math on the $4,000-ish dollars, and she said, well, only a little over $1,000 has actually gone towards your principal, and all the rest was paying the interest. That blew my mind. I was like, what? I'm just paying interest, basically. Like, this is insane. There's no way I'm ever going to get out of debt if I'm paying $4,000 a year and only $1,000 of it-ish, a little over, is going towards the principal. I'm never going to get out of debt. This interest is crippling. Like, it's just crazy. Like, no wonder people are just drowning in student loan debt. It's the interest. It's crazy. So I was like, all right, that was my shift in my mindset. I was like, all right, I know how to do the budget. I know what Dave Ramsey says. I know the baby steps. That's it. I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna do it now. So we wrote out my budget, and as we were doing the budget, I set all of my numbers, like, okay, I have this bill, you know, here's all the minimum payments, and I decided to set a set amount for gas and a set amount for my miscellaneous or fun money, and I gave myself $75 every 2 weeks for fun money, because you need to have a little bit of fun money. You don't want to just give yourself nothing, otherwise you won't stick to the plan. So I did that, and I set a certain amount for groceries. Now, this wasn't the amount I was necessarily spending on groceries. This is what I was planning to spend starting September 1st, 2019. This is what I want to do a lot for groceries. So I gave myself some gas, some grocery money, and I added up all those numbers with my total income, just mine, not my husband's at the time as I was doing this budget. I was just doing my paycheck for the month. I get 2 paychecks in the month. So I put those 2 paychecks together and I did all my expenses, and then what was left, I was looking at it and I was like, that can't be right. I have like, at the time, before I did the budget, I was like, paycheck to paycheck, thinking, I have like $20 left at the end of each month. So I did the math, and I had almost between $600 and $700 is what I had left over when I was doing this last August. And I was like, what? I have an extra $600 to $700. That's not right. I didn't do the math right. So I did it again, same number. And I was like, Mom, you got to do this math. Like, I can't be doing this right. That's insane. I shouldn't have $600 to $700 left over. And she did the math, same number. And I was like, where in the world is that money going? What am I doing with an extra $600 to $700 a month? It's not going towards my debt yet. What am I doing with it? So I went and I looked at all my expenses on my mobile bank account, and it was going towards groceries. I was spending a ton on groceries, and an Amazon purchase here or there, or a TJ Maxx purchase here or there, and boom, it was gone. And I didn't even realize it was gone. Or fast food here or there, it was just gone. And so I realized right off the get-go, I needed to cut my grocery budget way down. I cut it in half. And before, I was spending, $300 plus every 2 weeks, just throwing stuff in the cart, not really having a plan on what I was going to make. I was just grabbing stuff, and I was like, it's fine, I'll make this, or just kind of getting stuff. So I'd throw meats in the freezer and this, and try to make something out of it, but I didn't actually have a plan ever. So a lot of the food ended up going to waste, and I had a whole lot of food, but a whole lot of nothing to make meals with. And I spent a whole lot of money. So the first thing that I did, which is a great tip for anybody starting their budget, it's usually the groceries that can get cut down. So once I did that, it forced me to make a grocery list with a meal plan and plan out every single meal. So I also had to get creative and plan out different meals so I wouldn't get tired of eating, my husband and I wouldn't get tired of eating the same thing every single day. And sometimes, I'd make meals with bigger portions so we had leftovers the next day, and that's fine. So that'll be another post on how to actually do that grocery plan with your grocery list, meal plan, and the food. So I've perfected that because I've done that every single day. Well, I've done it, twice a month. I make it every 2 weeks for the last year. So I've gotten good at that. But that was huge in getting my budget cut down and having an extra $600 to $700 every month to now throw at my debt. Instead of making the minimum payment, I already had another $600 to $700 extra. That was all going to go towards my debt. I had already, all the other expenses, all the other bills were already going to be paid. Okay? So, number 1, groceries. Those usually get cut first. And you can do it. You just got to plan. If you can plan, you can stick to a lower grocery budget. The other thing, before I go on with anything else, I'm a tither. I've always tithed since day one, since my first paycheck when I was like 18. I've never missed a tithing check. I tithe to my home church. So I 100% believe God has, blessed my life and my finances because I'm a tither. So a lot of people ask me, once I've gotten out of debt, they're like, well, did you stop tithing during that time? Never stopped tithing. So that's the main thing. And then the groceries. And then after that, I was doing anything that I possibly could to get extra money to throw at my debt. So I was no longer making minimum payments. I wanted to get my payment as big as I could each month so that I could get ahead of the interest instead of the interest drowning me. I was going to go so fast that the interest could no longer catch me. That was the plan. So I was doing that. I was doing VIP Kid, which is teaching English online to students in China. So it was a ton of hard work. Yes, I would get up an hour and a half before work some days and get in 3 classes online before I even went to work. And then after work, I'd coach basketball. And then I'd come home and I'd have to make dinner because we're not going to eat out because it's not in the budget. So, yeah, it was hard work. But I had extra money from VIP Kid all my paychecks would go straight towards the debt. We sold a car, all that money straight to the debt. I drive a car that's 14 years old that I've been driving for 12 years and no car payment because it's paid off. It does not look very pretty anymore, but I'm still driving it because it still works, so I don't have a car payment. I could have easily at any point along this journey decided, well, I want a new car, and then I would have had a car payment, and that would have been a couple $100 taken away from my debt, and I would not have been able to get out as quickly as we did. So yeah, my little car is a little hoopty right now, but it is what it is. Now I'm out of debt, I can start saving for a new to me car, and I'm happy camper with that. So yeah, it takes some sacrifice and some discipline, but you can do it. And then, so I had all this extra money coming from my stipends, my VIP kid, my regular paycheck, the extra money from that. And then I made it clear to my husband from the get-go, like, this is my debt coming into our marriage. I want to crush it. If you want to help here and there, that's fine, but I'm gonna handle it. And we understand that it's both of our debt. Once we were married, we get that. But I really felt like it was my responsibility to take care of that. So for Christmas, one of my gifts that he gave me was cash is king, and he gave me some money to put towards my debt. So again, that whole thing towards my debt. And then, let's see, we sold his car. He had been saving for a truck. He got his truck, so he let me sell his car. That all went to the debt. Stimulus came in, went to the debt. Anything extra that I could get, if I could sell wedding decoration, if I could sell anything on Facebook or Marketplace, I sold it. Extra money went to the debt. Anytime I chose not to spend all of my miscellaneous fun money in a month, like I said, I give myself $75 every 2 weeks. If I didn't spend all of it and I had an extra $10 at the end of the month, I threw that at my debt. So I was gazelle intense, as Dave Ramsey would say. I was running for my life, and everything extra that I had, I threw at the debt. Now, that means I also had to stick to every number that I had in my budget, because if I didn't do that, then that was money coming away from my debt that wasn't going there. And then June, end of May, beginning of June, I wrote down my final numbers to see my final payoff date, because I was getting close and I was really excited. So I was writing it out and I was showing my husband, and I was like, all right, look, this is where I'm at. I'm 6 months away. Like, we're super close. This is almost crushed, almost debt-free, no more student loans. So at the end of June, he, for my birthday, he ended up paying off the last portion of the student loan. So that put me 6 months ahead of schedule, and that put us at 10 months to wipe out $35,000. The other thing I did, which was, I forgot to say this was the first thing. So I sat down and made the budget back in August that I was going to start September 1st. I also had a Roth account, and I took some of my savings out of a Roth account, and that's what started my snowball for me. I wouldn't recommend that, or they would. I don't know. It's up to you. It's really an individual basis. I'm pretty young, not close to retirement, so I figured it would outweigh the benefit of not having 15 more years of interest on my student loans outweighed leaving that in the Roth. So I decided to take it out of the Roth, throw it at the debt, and then I'm going to replenish the Roth because I have a lot of time before I retire. But I was misinformed, and I thought I was just going to have to pay taxes on that, but I ended up getting penalized on that. That's why I say I would not recommend that. That's why Dave Ramsey doesn't recommend that. But I did do that. I was misinformed, and then I ended up getting penalized. But you know what? In hindsight, it got everything started, and I'm out of debt. So it doesn't matter to me at this point because that's going to get replenished, and I'm debt-free. So that's totally up to you. But during this pandemic right now, you can take things out without getting penalized. So I was just off, a year. So, but that is not Dave Ramsey recommended because you do normally get penalized. That's why he doesn't recommend it. But I was misinformed. It is what it is. It worked out fine for me. Everybody has to do what you need to do to get out of debt. So no, it was not easy. Lots of sacrifice, lots of discipline, and a tight, strict budget, but you have to stick to it. Also, the other thing, when I decided to do this, September 2019, I read this book, The Total Money Makeover. Super, super helpful on how to budget and deal with your money, but there's also inspirational stories on here on how people got out of debt quick because they're following these baby steps, and it blows your mind, but it's also really inspirational. It's real. You can do it. So I'll give you some tough love right now. What changed for me is you have to stop making excuses for yourself, and you have to stop comparing yourself to other people. Okay, you can't just say, well, like don't even compare yourself to me or how long it took me to do it or the income that I had. That was my debt. My debt's gone now. If you have your own debt, you gotta have your own plan, have your own discipline, and get out of your debt yourself so that you can be debt free. You might have a car payment. Don't compare yourself to me and say, well, she didn't have a car payment, that's why she was able to do it. Or she had this, that's why she was able to do it. It doesn't matter what one person had or the other person doesn't have. You can get out of debt. You got to follow the steps. I highly recommend reading Total Money Makeover first, learning about the 7 baby steps that Dave Ramsey has. Don't make excuses for yourself. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Just do it. Start right now. I'm going to have a video on how to actually do the $0 budget. I recommend getting the Every Dollar app. It is free. It's Dave Ramsey's budgeting app. So instead of doing it on the piece of paper, you can do it on your phone. So whenever you spend money, you just go log it in and you know exactly how much you have left. So start your budget. Step 1. Okay. Step 2, don't make excuses. Just do it. If you heard me say I had an extra $600-700, don't say, oh, well, I don't have an extra $600-700. I only have an extra $20. That's fine. That's $20 more than if you were just not paying the extra $20. Like, once you get going, you're going to find ways to get extra income. You might need to get an extra job. Okay, like I said, I was working multiple jobs. It's not like I was just, doing nothing. I was busting my butt to get that extra income. So don't make excuses. Don't feel sorry for yourself, and don't compare yourself to others. Get out there, do your budget, and find where you can make you have extra money probably within what you already have on your paycheck. You just have to cut some areas down. So you might want to go and check your account and see how many times you ate fast food or got Starbucks. That might end up adding up to $300. You can give yourself $50 of that and put the other $250 towards your debt. You would be surprised once you actually write down the numbers and see what you're actually spending your money on. Because before I started doing this, I thought I had $20 at the end of the month. And in reality, when I wrote it down, I actually had $600-700 at the end of the month. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. It's your journey. You can do it. Make sure you check out my blog at thrivingonabudget.com, and I'm going to have more videos on to show you how to do those budgets and to get going. Check out the Total Money Makeover. Also, on my next video, I'm going to show you guys how to do the money envelopes and the budget sheet and how I do it. And I will also get into detail on how to do the grocery list and budgets and the different meal plans. And I'll also have some videos up on my blog of how to make those meals. And I hope this inspires you and helps you. And I hope you like the tough love, because that's what it's going to take to get out of debt. It's not easy, but you can do it. And I hope I inspired somebody to get out of debt. Check out my blog. The link is below. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias. I have them all now, apparently. Thriving on a Budget with Christy Makala. If you guys need anything, leave me a comment, and I will get back to you to help you. Have a good day.